Good morning, friends. Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Yvette. Hello, everybody. How are you today? "11:11 already. That's what they tell me, John. Hey, Karen, good morning to you. Glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Good morning, everyone. Hello, hello. How are you today? We're coming up on the 2-minute warning, and we'll get going. If you ever wonder, it is, I do wait for 2 minutes before we go live, and that's what happens. So so let people find their way. Stephanie, how are you today? So good to see you. I hope everybody's having a good day today. It is gray and cool here, and kind of fits the mood a bit as we get ready for Memorial Day here. So good morning, everybody. Let's get going. It is the 25th day of May. We are almost into June, friends, and we are here on this Thursday at another 11:11. And I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you found your way. I pray that whether you're finding it here live and doing it with us right now, or whether you are catching this later, or maybe you're hearing my voice for the first time, no matter what, welcome, and know that you have found a community that wishes you well today, and it has a hope and a beauty for you. This morning, I want to invite us into it. We are preparing for Memorial Day. I'm going to be busy all weekend with different prayers at different memorials around the city. And we'll be celebrating in worship. It's also Pentecost, which is the birthday of the church. So. And then we're actually baptizing little Lorelei this weekend. So if you know her, and so it's just all kinds of things mixed up. But before we get too far down the road, I wanted to just set a tone, maybe set a moment, set maybe an intention, or just rant. I don't know, but to talk about this coming Memorial Day. I find it a great honor that I get asked to do prayers. We'll do one at the wall. If you don't know, here in Fall River, we have a full, an 80% size reproduction of the Vietnam Wall. And it is a powerful, if you've ever been to the Wall monument in Washington, D.C., it is as powerful because not only right there, but also a full-size replica of the Iwo Jima Memorial. I mean, it's that memorial park here in Fall River is actually one of the most. If you want to make a veteran pilgrimage, it is a powerful veteran pilgrimage to make. And so we'll have prayers down there for a candlelight vigil on Saturday night, and I'll be there. And then we'll also do. We'll have prayers and a ceremony at the end of the parade on Sunday. Now, why there? And Fall River is a unique place. I think there are 32, maybe 34. I forget how many. I should know that. How many actual war memorials there are in the city for a city of 80,000 people? I mean, it's an amazing place that has raised Ebenezer's, around the city to remember those who have gone on, to remember those the dead in the service in the war, and in the wars of the nation. And so, as we get ready for this Memorial Day, whose function it is to remember those who have passed on, and particularly to remember those who in the service of the nation gave their lives, this is kind of a powerful place to stand, at least for me, because I get to participate in that. I get to participate in the lifting up, and I hope you participate in it too. Then when I don't know if you caught the little phrase I used a moment ago, that we kind of raise our Ebenezer, that there's a great line from an old hymn, here I raise my Ebenezer, surely I was meant to be, that this and who knows what an Ebenezer is? Well, I'm going to tell you. So the Ebenezer was this was one of the many memorials. You see, the Israelites, wherever they went, when they had profound things happen to them, they raised a memorial, and often it was around battles. That in 1 Samuel chapter 7, the Israelites are under attack by the Philistines. They're about to lose, and God leads them to victory. And so Samuel sets up this large stone and calls it an Ebenezer, meaning the stone of help. It's the stone that it's this physical symbol of the fact that when they got in trouble, God's help arrived to them. And that it was declared publicly, and it was declared personally in their midst. And so I think, and this is the beginning of kind of what I want us to talk about just this business of raising Ebenezers. We're in a weird place culturally, coming out of COVID, and that there was some permission giving in the COVID period for people not to celebrate their dead. There was to not raise an Ebenezer, to not maybe have a gathering around somebody who had died, or not have a place. And these were, and I'm not criticizing that people were feeling their way through whatever was going on at that time. But the hangover of that is in many ways, I'm seeing more and more folks that as people pass on, there's not a direct intention of whether it's a memorial service in a church or a gathering or a cookout or an opportunity to gather and share. There is not some way in which we raise an Ebenezer to the help that God gave us in the people of our lives that we've shared with. You see, because the people around us, there are lots of things, right? Sometimes they're a pain in the butt. Sometimes they're a wonder. Sometimes they're a joy. But often, more than anything, if we were to really say, what are they? They're actually a help to us. They're a help to us. Because we're not alone in it. We're not by ourselves. We're not lost. We're not. And no matter how much how needy they might be, or whiny they might be, or how much we don't like their jokes, or how much they have spinach in their teeth all the time. Whatever it is, at the end of the day, we recognize them as a help of getting through this life more than anything else. And then when Samuel raises the Ebenezer of the victory of the Israelites over the Philistines, he's pointing us to this notion of what it is for us in the world to raise Ebenezers. Why we do that? Because what we're doing is we're pointing to this one that was with us, and it was a help to us. That was a visible symbol of God's grace in our life. By the way, if you haven't figured it out by now, God's grace is always complicated. Like in some ways, it's very simple. There's maybe a person there or a thing there or something that loves us, but it's also complicated. People are complicated. It's also and it's not even that the grace is complicated or somebody's love for us is complicated, but we're complicated. We're rarely accepting it with a full outstretched hand, but we're kind of like, oh, maybe a little bit. We're weird. And that doesn't make us weird people. That makes us people. But this practice that we have of caring for one another, and in the midst of caring for one another, raising up these memorials, raising up these stones, whether it's the actual setting of a headstone or the gathering of a community in the loss of a person, I see a further and further decline of this. And there are people who have passed in my life that were very dear to me, that I actually wanted nothing more than to gather with the community of people they had gathered over the course of their lifetime, and it just didn't happen. And I feel like, we're missing out. Maybe that's the honest thing. Maybe it's just a completely and pure selfish thing that I feel like I'm missing out, celebrating the life of some of those that I have journeyed with. But I really hope you will not miss out on raising the Ebenezers in your life. Whether they are the Ebenezers of the people who have gone forth to serve the nation, and the reading of names of those whom we do not know and that we will never know and that will never know us, but still holding them up and holding them dear, if only for a moment. Gladstone was a great statesman in the 19th century in England, and he was he's kind of a commentator on the world in which he saw, and he has this quote, which is I just think it's so powerful to me, and it says this. It says, "Show me the manner in which a nation cares for its dead, and I will measure with mathematical exactness the tender mercies of its people, their respect for the laws of the land, and their loyalty to high ideals." I think there's something to that. I think there's something to the fact that how we care for the dead, how we honor those who came before us, and the shoulders of the giants on which we all stand, and the inheritance in which we've all given, some of it muddy, some of it problematic, some of it weird, some of it difficult, sure, but an inheritance nonetheless. Show me the manner in which a nation cares for its dead, and I will measure with mathematical exactness the tender mercies of its people, their respect for the laws of the land, and their loyalty to high ideals. Friends, it is ours to keep alive the tender mercies, to keep alive the laws and the love of our neighbors. It is ours to keep alive the high ideals and the true, the good, and the beautiful in our midst. Those who came before us can't do it, and those who are coming next, they can't do it. It is ours, and ours alone, to remember and to hold up in these days the Ebenezer of our time and our days. And so if you have friends that have passed, or you have friends that are negotiating the passing of a loved one, be the jerk that says, I want to have a memorial. Let's have a memorial. Let's get together. Let's gather around. Help them make that decision. It's hard. I get it. Nobody wants to revel in grief. Nobody wants to roll around in their own stink. Nobody wants to have that experience of gathering and the pain that can come with that. But the raising of the Ebenezer is it's not just the right thing to do, but it actually, within its rightness, bears all kinds of beauty and all kinds of fruit and all kinds of healing. My favorite war poet, and there was these guys called the war poets, and they were largely from World War I, but they've kind of all been collected together about what they witnessed in World War I and the way in which they processed the incredible horror that they bore witness to. My very favorite is a guy by the name of Siegfried Sassoon, who Sassoon was a rich kid. And he grew up this dilettante lifestyle until the war came, and he joined the Royal Welsh Fusiliers and fought bravely throughout the war up until about 1917, where from 1915 to 1917, where he was when he was wounded, he would go back and he met Wilfred Owens, another one of the great war poets, while they were recovering together. He wrote a scathing letter against the war as a uniformed person, and could have very well been shot and court-martialed for it. But because his poetry had become so popular, I mean, what an elegant age they were living in. Like, the poetry had become so popular that it kept him off of the firing line. And then he would eventually be hospitalized for what we now know as post-traumatic stress. He would go on to write what are called the war poems, of which my favorite is of all of his is the poem called Aftermath. I want you to consider it today, not just as a way of us kind of getting ready for the fact that Memorial Day is coming, and we've got an excuse to go get some, finally get some warm weather, finally take a breath, maybe go do something fun, but also just for a moment to raise our Ebenezer to those who came before us, to raise our Ebenezer to the ones whom gave us this incredible inheritance in which we have. Here's the poem, Aftermath. Have you forgotten yet? For the world's events have rumbled on since those gagged days, like traffic checked while at the crossing of city ways. And the haunted gap in your mind has filled with thoughts that flow like clouds in a lit heaven of life. And you're a man reprieved to go, taking your peaceful share of time with joy to spare. But the past is just the same, and the war's a bloody game. Have you forgotten yet? Look down and swear by the slain of the war that you'll never forget. Do you remember the dark months you held the sector in Mehmet's? The nights you watched and wired and dug and piled sandbags on parapets? Do you remember the rats and the stench of corpses rotting in the front of the frontline trench? And dawn coming, dirty white and chill with a hopeless rain? Do you ever stop and ask, is it all going to happen again? Do you remember that hour of din before the attack, and the anger, the blind compassion that seized and shook you then, as you peered at the doomed and haggard faces of your men? Do you remember the stretcher cases lurking back with dying eyes and lolling heads and ashen gray masks of the lads who were once keen and kind and gay? Have you forgotten yet? Look up and swear by the green of the spring that you'll never forget. Friends, on this Memorial Day, I hope you will raise your Ebenezer. We will raise your Ebenezer to those whom have passed, those whom you have lost, and that you will help those in your life, encourage them. When the time comes to honor those to your left and your right, that you will raise an Ebenezer for them. Don't let them slip into the darkness without mention and without purpose and without note, for they have been a gift to God from you. They have been a help to you, even though it might be complicated. Friends, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope it is beautiful and wonderful, and that you throw some shrimp on the Barbie and you have all the grandness and goodness in it, and that also you take a moment to raise an Ebenezer for the sacredness in which you've been given in these days. All right, friends, I hope you'll join us for worship on Sunday, and we've got all kinds of great goodness there. Baptism and Pentecost and a memorial prayer. I hope you'll be with us and worship with us, and come and join in some of the events around the city for Memorial Day. But either way, we'll pick it up next week with another 11:11. Peace and grace, my friends.